All right, welcome everyone. Welcome everyone to the Business Hour. I'm your host, Attorney Anthony Muhammad. I want to thank everybody for tuning in to another edition of the Business Hour, of course. And we have with us Elder Scholar Warrior, who's ready to come on. It's Bob here. It's so much to talk. I mean, as far as a introduction for this brother, it is so much, and we want to get into the introduction. And let's do this now. But he's the father of 3 successful children and who are active in the areas of black economic empowerment, business, African language, education, medical, and black liberation space. And Bobby, you and your wife built your own home. You own your own bookstore. You've been a vegan for 40 years. You were a star athlete. You have authored 17 books, which we'll get into some of those. And you've been married. To a power sister who we had on this program, and your daughter on this program last week or 2 weeks ago, and who has been the guest on here, but Sister Queen, Mother Dr. Kambon. And I may have the years wrong, 40 to 45 years. And I want to introduce and bring you back and present Baba Dr. Kamau Kambon. A baby for who do you, Dr. Kambon?
Yes, Father, thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity that you've given me to let me come into your life and the lives of those who are listening. So thank you very much. And my wife and I have been together 45 years, actually 46 years.
Yeah, 46. All right, man, that's fantastic. Get into, you know what, before you get into that, get into your work, your books, and before we touch on anything else, let's talk about your work, some of your books.
Okay. I first became aware of about the situation we were in the 70s, and I thought that I used to use the expression that we are at war. I was in New York City at the time, and I came to that conclusion. As I evolved my understanding and did a deeper analysis, I realized that war was being waged against us. And we were not at war, but war was being waged against us, and because we have not inflicted any casualties on the enemy. And as I evolved that, I wrote my first book, Black Guerrilla Warfare in America. This was really a concept saying that, we are at war and we need to engage in activities, not necessarily military, but it might probably come to that. But we were at war, and this war was being waged against us. And then I wrote another book called Subtle Suicide. And subtle suicide is what we do to destroy ourselves. And then after that, I did a radio program, and out of that radio program came a book, Food, Health, and You, Why Black People Die So Young. And then the next book was the last book. I felt this came out around 2001 or so. And I said that we don't need any more books, no more lectures, none of that. And this is the last book that we need to come up with a once-and-for-all solution to the biggest problem on planet Earth. And then after that, I wrote The Last Black Man Standing, then The Declaration, which traces the literal history of genocide against black African people from the time, all the way back, all the way up to the present. And other books, You Should Be Ashamed of Your Nice but Duped Parents. I said our parents were wonderful and, we loved them, but they were tricked, they were duped. So that's Volume 1, and then Duped Parents, Volume 2. Then I wrote The Blackest Book, Volume 1, The Blackest Book, Volume 2, Messages from the Ancestors, and then there were other books. I think 9 of them are actually hard copy. Now, the first 3 I mentioned, they're out of print. The last book is no longer available, but the Last Black Man Standing and The Declaration are available as e-books, as the other books are also e-books. Mm-hmm. And I encourage everyone to get those 2 books especially. The Last Black Man Standing, which talks about the internal subtle suicide, and the Declaration, which portrays the external genocide coming against us. Mm-hmm. And now when I say genocide, I mean that I think that we are being exterminated as a race of people, and It's been an ongoing process which never stops. And that genocide comes about because a group that has more power dominates, terrorizes another group for cultural, economic, political, racial, religious reasons, or they just want the resources that that other group has, or they just want to exterminate them because that power group has hatred for the other group. But these are the basic reasons for the extermination of a race of people.
Yep.
Those are some of the works that I've done. I've got articles and other interviews on my website, Kamau, Kambon.org. And I want to thank New Business Solutions, NU Business with 3 S's in the middle, solutions.com, for the website that was created for me. And I want to thank bb2me.com for hosting many of my books and a lot of my videos. And then also Onipa, ONIPA, which is my wife's website, and the psychological work that she does as a clinical psychologist who is African-centered. So that's kind of the wrap-up of some of the things that I have done with the help of my family over the years.
Baba, and I thank you for that. And go there and get those books. And you've been a Jetna, man, a model, a mentor for those who want to build this power family. You got to share with us, how can brothers and sisters who want to model, how and where do they start?
Okay, it's interesting. I played high school basketball with a brother who wound up being one of the top NBA all-time greats. And one day at practice, he got the ball was thrown into him. His back was to the basket, and he started dribbling or bouncing the ball. Coach stopped him and said, "No, don't do it that way." He said, "When you get the ball," he said, "turn and face your opponent." So as he turned and faced, he had many options. He could go left, he could go right, he could shoot, or he could see the entire floor or the entire structure. He could pass to the open man. So that gave him all those options. So what I do as a consultant or as a coach, I teach our people how to see the whole floor, how to make the right moves, and avoid what I call the clan mines so that they don't get destroyed. And so I think that's a good analogy to show the kind of moves that we have to make, the proper moves that we have to make in order to survive so that we can reach our winning end game, which is black liberation gets us from under white terror, domination, and defeat. And I also emphasize that I never use the word white supremacy. Now, this is just me, because I don't think, and I know for a fact that they are not supreme, but they dominate by the use of terror, savagery, and deceit. So I teach how to look at the whole entire apparatus, the entire structure, so that we can save ourselves and save our loved ones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this white domination continues, and I'm sure if you've up to speed on the last killing and terror with the brother Jacob and some of these that you're athlete. Some of these current athletes, how would you inform them on how to deal with some of these issues today, Baba?
Okay, now some of the things I don't talk about, because I'm on the black liberation track. I don't try to get drawn back into discussions that we've had for years and years and years.
Mm-hmm.
You see, like what should the actors do? What should the actresses do? What about the athletes? What about the entertainers? What about voting? What about marching? We've been through all that. So I'm saying that when I say black liberation, I'm on the track for the once and for all solution to the biggest problem. And, for example, I listened to a lecture years ago where the brother came up and said, our organization has been in existence for 110 years. So I'm saying you've been around 110 years and we still not free, and you still doing that. So a brother that I've talked to by phone, who's now an ancestor, I call him a grandcestor, Dr. Nkosi Mandari, whose book is Genocide by Any Other Name, is still genocide. He says that our ancestors gave us lessons, life lessons, lessons of what not to do, or lessons about the mistakes we made and the things that we should do. So to answer your question, I try not to get drawn back into these same discussions over and over. I call this redundant, subtle suicidal, open-ended. So I say let the athletes, actors, all of them, go do what you're going to do, because that has never proven to help us achieve our winning end game, which is total black liberation from under white terror domination.
Great response to that. And you mentioned that we're trying to get our people get through. Got some university here with the doctor, Barber Scholar Warrior, Dr. Kambon. And you mentioned last time you was here, you talked about the system. Everyone is a system. And Dr. Kambon, what do you mean by that? And it's a rhetorical question, but by getting ourselves together in formation, Doc.
Okay, good. All right, I'm going to give you the overlay. And from the top, it starts with genocide, which is the genocide I talked about that's coming against us. And there are books that highlight, the genocide, the King Alfred Plan, and others. Then there is self-hatred, which comes as a result of the dominators raining self-hatred onto us, and then, of course, we absorb that and we carry out self-hatred against each other. Then there's subtle suicide, drinking alcohol, smoking weed, hanging out late at night, driving around not going anywhere, eating bad food. So all these are different forms of subtle suicide. So out of that, I come to the next level, which is realize, REALEYES. That once we realize that genocide is taking place, that self-hatred, that we've been imbued with a level of self-hatred and subtle suicide, we realize that we want to break from the cycle of death, which is represented in those three top tiers I mentioned. We want to break from the cycle of death in the family. That means cutting our family loose who are engaged in these activities. Our friends, that means cutting them loose. We drop them. Or the organization. And one of the reasons I say the organization, these organizations that we have, although they might be well-meaning, they are filled with contradiction. And you can never get anywhere with contradiction. This is why I say that black liberation is pure, because it has no contradictions in it. So when we realize what's going on, then we come down to the fact that we have different selves, SELVES, as you mentioned. We have a psychological self, a cultural, economic, health self, and other selves. So each self, when we put them all together, it represents a system, because there's a system that is against us. Now, I want to point out here, there's a system against us, but the main enemy of black people is the white male, MALE, and his cohort, the white female. They are the biggest dangers to the planet Earth in every area, in terms of environment, against the people, etc. So we have different selves, and when we take all these cells together, it represents our system. And this is how they come against them, by attacking each self. For example, let's take the psychological self. How do they attack the psychological self? We're attacked at birth. If we're born in a hospital, especially the males, they take the male, they circumcise the male, no telling what other kind of pain they inflict on the male baby. Then they give them the vaccination. So this is a physical attack against the body and the brain. Then the mothers who don't have a consciousness start feeding the child Infamil or Similac or cow's milk. So this is an additional assault against the brain or the psychological self. And let's take the economic self, for example. In the economic self, in our communities, they have the easy credit. You know, it's easy to go into debt. It's easy to get a brand new car in the community. You can get a loan for a car and go into debt. But what you're really doing is you're really supporting the white male, white welfare auto industry. The auto industry is a white welfare industry because there's no reason for them to build a new car every year, 20 new cars every year, other than support white welfare. You see? So let's go to the health self. In the health self, then they attack us through, of course, I mentioned drugs, alcohol, and the food. So these are three cells, and I go into deeper detail when I sit with someone individually and coach them in terms of seeing the entire floor, like I pointed out earlier with the ball player. You can see the whole structure, you can see all the elements, and then you know how to move to protect yourself and your family.
Yeah, and you put them in terms of rooms as well, and I like the way you broke that down in one of your videos, putting this same thing into rooms. And how important it is, Barbara, to have some of those or an external ally. Talk about that.
Say it again now, the external
ally, yeah. Yeah, like Africa and having that power, of course, to lean on. You talked about it in one of your lectures, having an external ally. Of course, you know, we can't look to, or can we look to Africa as an ally or as a home with nuclear weapon for backup?
Yeah, now, Dr. Collin gave a lecture. He said that Africa is our throne, and Africa, of course, black Africa, and there's only one Africa, black Africa. All the others who are on that continent, Dr. Kwame calls that Kemet, that Africa is Kemet, land of the black people, that it has been attacked for so long that it doesn't have the power it should have. And I maintain that when Nana Robert Mugabe was with us in the physical realm, that I thought that Zimbabwe, should have had nuclear capability. And I've added now that I think that there's one African nation should have nuclear capability, and also they should have satellites that have nuclear capability. And when we have an external ally like that, these killings of Alton Sterling, Sandra Bland, Tamir Rice, Ramali Graham in New York, Esther Johnson, Ayanna Jones, Philando Castile, none of that would happen, you see, because we have an external ally. Because if something like that happened, they know that there would be immediate retribution. So we do need external allies, and that's why it's important to build up Kemet or Africa. And the next step is by de-whitenizing. That means to seek to delete white concepts in action. It means to eject and reject white concepts and actions, and then take those resources and funnel those resources to black liberation activities and entities that are working on behalf of our people. So yes, we do need these external allies, but we should be allies to ourselves by the stopping of subtle suicide and self-hatred. That's your biggest ally, is yourself.
A psychological room, and we keep doing. You mentioned we keep doing the same thing over and over, time and time again. Insanity, Barbara. Why do you think people and our people hear this information and don't take action?
Part of it, I think, is in the Yoruba tradition. They have a term called Ori, O-R-I, which refers to the head. And so we don't have proper orientation, meaning we don't have a picture, the whole picture of the structure that we're in, the global, international, worldwide plantation that we're in, the global, international, worldwide prison that we're in. And part of the prison is the psychological prison. And in that psychological prison, I mean, we see the evidence of it with black African women with the hair and the weaves and the nails, and the brothers with the cars, etc. So this is part of the psychological war that's being waged against us. And because we don't have the proper orientation and we don't have the proper coach to tell us the right direction to move in, we then commit these different forms of subtle suicide. So why do we not listen? Why do we not adhere to this correct life-saving information? That's because we are bent. We have this whitey in us. Sometimes it's a big whitey in each of the cells. Sometimes it's a little whitey in each of the cells. That is a parasite that prevents us from absorbing the correct, life-saving, nutritious information that we need in order to survive. Now, I heard a psychiatrist say this. A white psychiatrist said this. He said, I've been in working with people, and he's talking about white people, for over 50 years. He went on to say, and what I have learned, he said, is that some people come here to die. See? So some of our people who have been so infected with self-hatred and subtle suicide that they want to get off of the planet. So this is why I break our people into three categories: those who are not ready, those who are on the verge of ready, and those who are ready. So you have to pick where and how you want to spend your time. And so I use the expression, live life on your own terms, TERMS. That stands for time, energy, resources, materials. Either you're saving them or you're squandering them. So those who don't listen, just understand that they are not ready. They're on the verge of subtle suicide, and they actually want to get off of the planet, but they don't have the heart to kill themselves by jumping off a bridge or jumping in front of a car. See? So this is what prevents them. And this is why a coach is so important. To show you, okay, you don't do that way. This is how you do it. That's what a good coach does. And that's why I sit with brothers and sisters and I talk with them. I show them the whole terrain. I show them the landscape. I show them the apparatus, the system, and the context that we're in, and I show them how to navigate through it. Not just get through it, but the point is, and this is the central point for me, that even though someone is trying to subtle suicide and engage in self-hatred, I work with them because I think that inside of them, they may have the once and for all solution to the biggest problem on planet Earth. So I look at the white side of the chessboard and I see what they're doing on the white side with fingerprinting, retina scans, all of these things, because they know that if I understand that I'm on this plantation, if I'm in this prison, I'm going to definitely try to escape. And so they are trying to sweep across all of us to see who is the one that's going to come up with the once and for all solution. So this is why I work with those engaged in the subtle suicide and self-hatred, because I said, listen, brother, you could be the one that has the once and for all solution. So let's download all of that mess, all those white concepts out of you that interfere with you getting to your authentic, organic self. And this is why I say we have these different selves, and the process is to de-whitenize and then to re-Africanize, all leading to Plan A, which is Black liberation.
Black liberation. And speaking of mental health, August is Global Black Mental Health Month, and also it's Black August. Take a minute to talk about those two.
Yes, well, Black August, is supremely important to us. That's the year of Nat Turner Rebellion. It's the birthday of Nana Marcus Garvey. I think it's the time that Nana Asa Hilliard was born. I think it's the time that the Honorable Great George Jackson, unfortunately, was assassinated. I think the Amistad took place then. I mean, so many things took place. But to me, one of the most critical points of Black August is that there's no white horror day in August. There's a white horror day in just about every other month that cripple our people, that get us, that get us off track, that get us out of formation. But Black August puts us back in formation or in alignment with Black liberation. And so this is part of good mental health. And part of this idea of good Black mental health is that when someone is off track, they are diverted. I call it diversion, D-I-E version. They're engaged in different versions of death. And what we want to do is put them back or black on track. And this is what our mental health is designed to do. So when we're not on track, when we're not black on track, someone comes with correct life-saving information. This is part of self-deception. Someone comes with correct life-saving information, and the person says, oh, no, that's not true. That's false. Or somebody will come with something that's false, and the person will say, no, that's true. You see? So that's when they are out of formation. But when someone comes with truth, oh, they get it. I'll give you a quick example. Unfortunately, Bill Cosby, when he said he was 15 or so in Philly, and he heard Miles Davis' Kind of Blue album, he said, man, that music touched us. And we all gravitated to that music, to that high cosmic frequency. And so this is what the truth does. It will resonate with you, and it'll enable you when you're on the mental, when you're trying to get off the white death express train. The truth or ma'at will resonate with you. It will touch your spirit. And it may take some time for you to throw off the death, but it's that struggle. And it's that rebirth into in formation, in alignment with Black liberation.
Outstanding. I want to go back to one of your rooms, of course, talking about the selves, and Steve Biko, ancestor, said, the greatest tools in the hands of the oppressors that mine of the oppressed. Talk about education, the fact that we keep giving our people over to the greatest terror the world has ever known, and expect our children to come out and represent us as they should. Talk about the education room.
Okay. Okay, if we're talking about the public cess school system, education is important. So now, I refer to our enemies, the white male and the white female, as the cesspool people.
Mm-hmm.
And the cesspool is meaning that these people, and let me give you a disclaimer. I'm speaking for myself. I do not represent this radio station, the interviewer, the faculty, staff of this radio station. I'm just speaking for myself. All right, so that's my disclaimer. So I say that this mentality that dominates the earth, it dominates the earth to the extent that I think that they have been belched out of the bowels of the cesspool.
Mm-hmm.
So hence the name cesspoolian.
Mm-hmm.
So, and this is why I never say mainstream media. No, that's not mainstream.
Mm-hmm.
That's the main cesspool. That's the vehicle, the
That's
vessel
right.
that manipulates and propagandizes black African people
That's right.
into self-hatred and subtle suicide. So education, of course, is, I think it's important, but I think even more important than this generic term education is having the right concept. See, the concept is the baseline, is the foundation for everything. See, it's like a rocket launcher. See, the rocket launcher launches the missile, but the warhead on the missile, when it hits, is the concept. That's the shrapnel that goes into the brain and filters down into the body and directs the body to do things that are self-destructive. So it's the concept that's important. For example, if I say Jesus Christ, the concept that comes into your mind is somebody white.
Mm.
You see? So it's the concept that has the power.
Mm-hmm.
So what we have to do is break the concept that people have. And in my book, The Last Black Man Standing, it says that we come here, this is theoretical, that we come here as pure, unadulterated, uncontaminated spirit. But the longer we are here, the more contaminated our concepts become. And that we're contaminated by our families, our friends, definitely by schools. And so this is why homeschooling and self-education is important, to break the concepts.
Right.
And the older we get, the harder it is to break the concepts.
That's right.
Because the concepts have now become almost like concrete.
That's right.
So education is important. There's a brother that I really love, Henry Hubert Harrison, in the 1920s.
Oh, yeah.
He
For
was
me.
called autodidactic, meaning he was self-taught.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Nana John Henry Clark.
Mm-hmm.
Nana is, I learned this from Nana Kwame Obadele, that Nana is a term of endearment, a term of high respect. So I should have said Nana Henry Hubert Harrison, Nana John Henry Clark was self-taught. So now I went through this cesspool, public cesspool system, but I went outside of that and I learned on my own. So all these degrees had nothing to do with the real education that I have.
Wow.
And this is what I do in coaching brothers and sisters. I show them how they can move to break the concepts and become autodidactic, self-educated, with the end game of not going into a corporation to work with Monsanto or Exxon or any of these major demonic entities, but with the idea that we have a goal. The African gold standard is black liberation. You see, that's why these organizations that we have, they have no winning end game. So our winning end game should take us to and across the Black Liberation finish line. So this is why I admire so much bbtoomey.com and the work, the social, educational work that it does, New Business Solutions, ONEPA, and others around the country who are trying to get the concepts in our mind. And so that's our main work.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope that answers the question.
Oh, no doubt about it, Doc. We got a caller on the line. You want to take a call right now, Doc?
Yes.
Yeah, let's take one. Caller, thank you for your call. State your name and where you're calling from.
Good morning, Attorney Anthony, and good morning, Dr. Kambon. My name
Yes,
is Dietrich.
good morning.
Oh, yes, sir. Good morning. I'm calling from Pinson, Chalkville area, and I was just listening in, and it's absolutely incredible just to listen to you, and it's so interesting. I was interested in trying to find out how I could get the best way to get a hold of your books where you get the credit for the sale. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Well, BB Toomey has my books, and I think some of them are on my website. Now, I'm going to tell you this quick story. I spoke out in St. Louis, and I sent my books, the last book, ahead of me by a media mail. The books never got there, and then months later, post office couldn't find them. And then I looked, somebody came and actually told me online on Amazon the book was selling for $1,400.
Wow.
So I haven't looked in 5 or 6 months, but the last book is no longer available. But I recommend those two basic books, the Last Black Man Standing, the Declaration, Duped Parents 1 and 2. Those are the main ones. And I had a brother who is from Kansas City, young brother, who read Messages from the Ancestors, and he spoke highly of that. So my books are not just regular narrative books where you can just, read. You can open up to any page and there's something on each of the different cells. It's talking about the enemy, what the enemy is doing, and then how and what we should be doing to reach our winning end game, which is always, always, always Black liberation gets us from under white terror, domination, and deceit. So go to my website, KambonTopic, and these are ebooks. And if someone wants to make a huge contribution, I can start printing my books out again in hard copy.
Okay. Yes, sir. You said KambonTopic.org?
.org, yes.
Yes, sir.
That's KAMAU, KAMB as in black, ON as in Nigeria.org.
Got it. Yes, sir. You bet I will.
And now, I also want to mention, you'll never find me on any of those white media, so-called white media, cesspool media. I'm not on Facebook. I'm not on. I think one of the savages put a fake Kamau Kambon page up. I don't even know how to navigate Facebook. But I'm not on Facebook. I'm not on Twitter or what's the other TikTok. I'm not on any of that. I'm only on Kamau Kambon, and even the things on YouTube. Somebody else put them up. I didn't put them up.
Okay. Yes, sir. I was just listening to what you're saying, and it's one of those things I just want to gravitate to and go and read and learn. I agree with you on everything you've mentioned.
Yeah.
Everything.
Well, listen, brother, I've been doing this for a long time, and I've met some of the greatest black thinkers on the planet. Dr. Ben, Dr. Khalid, Asa Hilliard. I put Nana before all of them. Kwame Ture, Jamil Alamin, Pam Africa, Ramona Africa, Shahrazad Ali. We had all those people when we had our bookstore. So I have synthesized all their information along with my parallel information. And when I'm in formation, I'm straight black liberation. So anybody that's coming to me with anything else, I'm not with that.
Mm-hmm.
We have to solve this problem once and for all. And I'm not going back over the same thing. I'm not going to go back over the same things that we've been dealing with, and we haven't resolved this problem. And I'm saying straight up, white male, the white female, they're the biggest problems on the planet Earth.
No question.
White female, especially in the public school system, how they destroy our children. And I said, and I maintained this in the 70s and the 80s, that the main reason for so-called integration was for white people to have greater access to black people, especially our children. And since war is being waged against us, the white side of the chessboard see our children as the supply line for us. And what they're doing, they're disrupting the supply line by destroying our children's psychology in all these areas that I talked about.
Yes, sir. And I've seen.
So what I'm presenting, of course we're going to reject it, because the white people have infected our minds to such an extent of self-hatred and self-suicide. So, like I said, somebody comes with the truth and we say, oh, no, that's false. Somebody comes with something false and say, oh, no, that's true. That's because we have been taught to love death. See, in death we are enchanted, we are charmed, enchanted, we are dazzled, we are seduced, we're spellbound by death activities. And this is what we want to break the cycle. Come off of the white death express train. And our lifestyle really, our death style is really our lifestyle. So we have to come out of the death cycle and get into the life cycle. Because I think ultimately it's only through it's only through conscious, righteous, moral, black liberation African that we will achieve our end game, and only those people, black African righteous people, should be running the planet, because nobody else on the planet knows what truth, justice look like other than black African people. The Chinese don't know what truth looks like. The Arabs don't know. None of those groups. The Israelis, they definitely know what truth looks like. So we are the only ones. The Japanese, they don't know what truth looks like. They don't know what justice. Just listen to the news. And you can see what they're doing all over the planet. But see, our bloodstream, our ancient Kemet bloodstream is imbued with truth, justice, balance, order, harmony, reciprocity, propriety, and the other principles, allegiance, loyalty, honesty. See, this is what we are all about. And this is one of the reasons the enemy comes against us. Because and I'm going to just say this quickly, I know we're running out of time, bro, but Dr. Welsing uses the globe as a chessboard. He said, look at it as a giant chessboard. He says white is offense, defense, black is defense, offense. I take exception to that. I say, since we are the Committee, I get this from Nana Kwame Obale Kambon. That means black people and the land of the black, Kemet. Since we were the first people, we're on offense. It's the white people who are on defense. And everything they do is defense. Just about everything they do is defense. You see? Integration, that was defense. Jim Crow, that was defense. That's not offense, that's defense. You see? We call it gentrification. I don't know where black people got this word gentrification from. That I don't know how we let them slip that in on us. I call it white maggot virus infestation invasion. See? So, moving us out of the city, moving us off of our properties, and making no provision for us to go anywhere. So what is that? That's genocide. You see? So, look, if we don't really get with this program, a majority of our people will be wiped out. And this is what they want to do. If you look in one of my books, I have the article, and you can look at it online. Ted Turner wants you dead.
Okay.
And in that article in 1993, he said, we want to reduce the world population down to 250 to 350 million people.
That's right.
This is Ted Turner. So I said, I can't say that over here. You know, like, who are you, Ted Turner, that you making this decision? If you look at the movie Executive Action that came out in the 70s, the two actors say, we want to reduce the world population down to 550 million people. He says we want to exterminate black people, we want to exterminate Hispanics, and poor whites. This is a movie in 1970. So I'm saying to you, if you have a kernel of love for yourself, you will try to get with me and others who are in alignment with self-preservation and black liberation.
All right. Anything else, Carl? I appreciate you calling. Any other questions for the Scholar Warrior?
Oh, no, sir. I'm just so glad I caught you on this broadcast this morning, and I expressed to Anthony and Hakeem as often as I can how valuable this radio station is to the public, to our people especially. And without it wouldn't have as much effect because I've learned more through listening to the daily programs than I have in a long time, and I've been out of school for a long time. So when they have guests on like you and many others, and the broadcasts that are linked to this station at different times of the day, I can't put a price on it. So I listen all the time as much as I can, and I'm just so glad that you were able to broadcast today. I just want to thank you both, and Hakeem as well.
Thank you. Thank you, beloved. Appreciate your call.
Brother, I give a disclaimer, you know, these are my words, these are my ideas, and not those of the radio station or the faculty, staff, administrators, owners, or advertisers of the radio station. So I take full responsibility. And I don't claim to have all the knowledge, and in fact, I don't claim to be a warrior because I have yet to inflict serious harm on the enemy. Scholar, okay, I wrote a couple of books. I just wrote down the ideas that I have, and I say I want to see whether these ideas are true or not. And so far, been on point.
All right, we appreciate your call, brother.
Thank you.
All right, and if you're interested in calling, the telephone number is 205-730-1400. That's 205-730-1400. And Dr. Kambon, you mentioned freedom and liberation. Everything you do got to be related to that. If not, we're on a subtle suicide course. Elaborate a little bit more on that.
Okay, I think that the idea of black liberation is this is a concept and an action for black African people that leads to the once and for all solution. So everything we do should relate to black liberation. So I mean, like going to the pancake place at 1 o'clock in the morning, does that relate to liberation? Or is that supporting the enemy?
Good.
Going to Walmart, you know, that's part of the prison system. Is that black liberation? Or is that subtle suicide? So everything we do, I say that black liberation is the greatest concept and action for black African people. And it's the best idea. You can't think of an idea that's better than black liberation. It's the greatest idea. You can't think of an idea that is greater than black liberation. It's the purest idea. It's the most righteous idea. And above all, it's the wisest idea. So everything we do, and black liberation, it eclipses, it nullifies, it supersedes, and tops anything else and everything else any black African can do on the planet. So I use the 4 R's now, that everything we do should relate to black liberation. It's going to the mall, to the whatever store to buy the latest sneakers. Is that part of black liberation? Or is that supporting the enemy at the highest level? Is buying a Mercedes part of black liberation? Or is that supporting the white welfare system at the highest level? So everything we do should relate to black liberation, be relative to black liberation, and relevant for black liberation. And everything we do should relate to reality and to the context, I call it context of real-time reality that we're in. If you remember the movie with Eddie Murphy and Arsenio Hall, Coming to America,
Oh, yeah.
where he pulls up in his car in Queens, he gets out the car, he's looking at the building, and when he turns around, all the stuff is stolen. And I think they leave the car up on blocks.
Yeah.
And he's in a new context. He's in the context of a reality that he's not aware of. And so he needed coaching and counseling to say, look, when you come to a place like this, this is what you have to do. This is how you protect yourself. And this is what I do with black people who have that little kernel, that little spark of love for self. And now they're on the path to trying to relate to black liberation. And they're trying to get rid of all of these things that interfere. They're trying to get rid of the different diversions, the different versions of death. Now, people come to me and they say, oh, well, what I'm doing, this is different. This is the truth. So what I say, okay, these are different versions of the truth, but there's only one irrefutable truth. And that irrefutable truth is that we have to figure out how to do two things. How to stop white people from killing us, and how to stop us from killing ourselves through the different means of subtle suicide.
Yes, sir.
So this is why we are a system. Each person is a system. And this is why we have to get all ourselves together. And this is what I teach when I do my consultation with brothers and sisters. I teach you how to get all yourselves together and not commit any form of subtle suicide. Because when you're committing subtle suicide, you are, in fact, aiding and abetting, and you are a co-conspirator in your own demise.
All right. And then, Dr. Kambon, you got to tell us how we can get in contact with you, those who are interested in those personal and family consultations. Tell the family out there how they can get in contact.
My website is KambonTopic, KambonTopic.org. You can go to the website. I think I have a connection on a BB to me. And you can call. I don't know if you can text it. No, I don't have a cell phone, so but you can call 301-244-9072. Yeah, 9072.
Yep, that's what I'm looking at as well.
You can reach me that way, or leave a message on my website, and you can contact me that way.
And tell the folks again where they can get your ebooks.
On my website, KambonTopic.org, or BB to me, ABIBITUMI.com, BBToMe.com. And I ask you to support New Business Solutions, BlackTherapyCentral.com, and I think that's it. ONIPA and Black Therapy Central and New Business Solutions.
Yeah, I want to openly thank you and your entire Black Revolutionary family, man. Had a blast with both Sister Nataki and your wife, Dr. Kambon, and I also had your son on as well. So Black Revolutionary family, man, we thank every one of you for all the work that you do, Dr. Kambon, and you're welcome back. And this is a home for you, this radio station.
The thing about us, I really appreciate this opportunity to be able to share this time with you. But the thing about us, man, we say what we're about, and we do what we're about. We don't deviate from that. What you see is what you get. No hidden agenda. We're not trying to get nothing from nobody. We're not trying to slick nobody out of anything. This is how we see the world. I'm just speaking for me. This is how I see the world. I think that we got to downsize, start, doing whatever you have to do, drop out of the system, minimize and eliminate as much contact with the system as possible. So
That's it.
that's who I am, brother. That's what I've been about for 40 years.
Yeah, and we want to thank you for this opportunity to get you on again, and we'll run smack out of time, brother. Anything else you want to leave the family with?
No, I just have a lot of love for black people, man, and it breaks my heart to see us in the condition that we're in and the different cells that are collapsing. And I really want us to get on the path of conceptual cohesion, where we get all our different cells together in order to implement an effective and successful once and for all solution to the biggest problem on planet Earth. And it's only us that can make this change, brother. It's only us, the righteous, the conscious, black liberation, straight up African, black African. So thank you again for this opportunity, and I love you. I love you, black people, man. Take care of yourselves. It's heartbreaking to see you all do yourselves in, man. So
Yeah,
just
thank
get
you,
on
brother.
point.
Yeah, we love you as well, brother. Solutionary, revolutionary, Dr. Kambon. Thank you very much, Doc.
All right, brother. Thank you. I appreciate all those that support our efforts here. Thank you.
Thank
Black
you.
Liberation.
Black Liberation, baby, for Houdier. And that's Dr. Kambon. We thank him very much. And the underwriter to this program is GBR Products, gbrproducts.net, and Dr. Fox, who wrote the book, Addicted to White. I want to thank everybody out there for tuning in and listening to WSYP LP 95.1. Come back tomorrow. We got another Kambon on tomorrow. We got Sister Nataki Kambon will be with us tomorrow. This Black Revolutionary family, man, it goes on and on and on. So Sister Nataki will be our guest tomorrow, talking about new business and business, coming from that black perspective. So Sister Nataki will be with us tomorrow. Come back and tune in. We'll see you all tomorrow. All right.